I have 85. Do I have 90? I have 90 from the man with the face at table 4.
This is terrible. You don't know what you're doing.
Adam Sandler?
Yeah, that's right. I collect antiquities. I'm a serious person. I'm writing a movie right now about the Russian Revolution.
Oh, really? Who does Kevin James play in it?
It's a serious movie. Trotsky.
Ah, there it is.
TBTL.
Hey, somebody has run out on the field. Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs at the 50. He runs at the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes.
Paint your bald spot?
I don't. Do you paint your bald spot?
Paint your bald spot?
You're sick.
The world of cheeses is strange and intimidating and frankly, it's terrifying to me.
Sometimes a little comic relief is the best way to deliver a serious message.
I don't believe you're seriously considering listening to these men.
Listen to that horn! Oh my God! Oh, she's beautiful! She is beautiful, yeah!
This party is going to be off the hook.
Well, all right. Hello, good morning, and welcome everyone to a Monday edition of TBTL, the show that just might be too beautiful to live.
Get on the magic carpet and ride.
My name's Luke Burbank. I'm your host.
Now that's interesting.
Coming to you from the Madrona Hill studio, perched high above the mighty Columbia, where we're looking at another rainy day. What the?
Didn't know you like to get wet, though.
Guess it's going to be like 90 degrees on Friday. So I think if we make it through this soggy weather here in early June, by the end of the week, we'll be leaning into summer times, and I cannot wait. I also can't wait for us to get into episode 4744 in a collector series.
Let the fun begin.
There's something that's been bugging me for a while, and I saw it in the pages of the New York Times today, and I feel like we need to officially come together and stop saying something.
I would say, can you please stop doing this stuff?
We'll get into what I would like us to stop saying and writing coming up. Also, the Osbourne family, like Ozzy Osbourne's family, is going to... I guess feed his digital DNA into an AI machine, and then he's gonna still be around making music or something.
I'm ready to smoke the world with the rock and roll. Good deal.
But people are kind of annoyed by that, and they're pushing back. We'll talk about AI Ozzy Osbourne. Oh, we're gonna talk to this guy, longest-running co-bro of the show, maybe best known for his depictions of the tall ships. Talk about smoking the world with the rock and roll. This is a thing this guy has literally done.
The man who brought the rock and roll edge to the Eagles.
He's Andrew Walsh, and he's joining me right now. Good morning, my friend.
Now, wait a darn tootin' second there. Is that the drop that you played for me in the sound check this morning? Did I already forget it, or did you do a swapperoo on me?
I did a swapperoo because we're playing this one, Smoke the World.
Smoke the world with the rock and roll.
Yeah, okay.
And then I was like, we have another rock and roll drop that I love that we haven't played in a while.
The man who brought the rock and roll edge to the Eagles.
Do you... And by the way, this is not a quiz that I know the answer to, because this is more of an example of how bad my brain is. We obsessed over that commercial that you pulled that drop from, the man who brought the rock and roll edge to the Eagles. Do we remember which member of the Eagles that was? It wasn't, because it was from a tour.
Not like Don. It ain't Don Henley or Glenn Fry.
No, because you don't need, and first of all, I don't know. I think we've done this before, too. I'm not sure. Is Fry still with us? I don't
know about that, but they were members of the Eagles, right?
Yeah, but I think that this commercial was last year, maybe 2 years ago, and I was kind of obsessed with it. But it was telling that it had to be like not the man who's best known as the Eagles front man. He's like the man who, let's just say that he brought the rock and roll edge to the Eagles. He was a guy who was a name that we didn't know. Right?
Again, not to be mean, because like I'll tell you what I haven't done. I haven't brought the rock and roll edge to the Eagles.
The man who brought the rock and roll edge to the Eagles.
But he was. I would say he is not as. And I forgot about Joe Walsh.
Oh, right.
Also in the Eagles, and so the Don Henley, Glenn Fry, and Joe Walsh were kind of, I think, the top line.
Yeah.
The top line dudes. And then this guy was, I do actually remember the name, but do you want to try to guess?
No, I wasn't setting it up as a quiz for me. I was legitimately asking if you remembered, because it's so funny how we can obsess over something for weeks, if not months, on this show. And then the moment the tides sort of shift and we move on to other content, it all just leaks out my ears. Or I'm hoping my ears. I don't know where it's leaking out, to be honest with you.
I mean, ideally the ears, I guess.
Yeah.
That's probably think about it. Nose, that's kind of awkward. People might notice that. Your, other orifices.
Sure. Orify?
That'd be bad.
I looked up the members of the Eagles. I haven't.
So now you know who it is.
I'm locked in. He's listed as the Mandolin Man for the Eagles, by the way. At least that's what.
The Mandolin Man?
Well, I'm adding it just says mandolin, but Donovan has a song called The Mandolin Man.
Wait a second. Well, they're listing Don Felder as the mandolin guy?
Well,
because that doesn't scream rock and roll edge.
Well, that's a very narrow way of looking at both.
Brought the rock and roll edge to the Eagles.
Mandolin and rock and roll, I suppose. No, it's not. It's just like when you go to Google, you know how it's not the AI overview necessarily, but it tries to give you as much information about the Eagles as it possibly can without having you click on another website, right? So it just says on Google members. You got Don Henley, drum kit.
Yeah.
Drum kit, it says.
Oh, okay.
Glenn Fry, harmonica. I think Google's having fun with us. The famous harmonica player, Glenn Fry. Joe Walsh, keyboard instrumental. Randy Meisner, bass guitar. Don Felder, he brought the rock and roll edge to the mandolin, is what it says.
Now, I don't want to be mean to Don Felder. Again, I'm sure Don Felder is a sweet guy, but I'm looking at the Washington Post doing an article. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
Okay, sure.
I'm looking at the Washington Post. You know how I remember back in the day, back in those halcyon pre-2000s when you would get a copy of the Washington Post, one would be kicking around the newsroom, maybe at the radio station you worked at or something. And one of the coolest things was they would have a piece or a profile often of someone, but then they would have this very cool kind of pencil drawing of them instead of just a photograph.
Mm-hmm.
I was always a fan of that. And I think that they've now, probably started using AI or something to do that. But there's like a kind of one of those. It's like a pencil rendering of the Eagles. It must have been when the Eagles broke up. It said Don Henley says the Eagles are done. It was always Glenn Fry's band. Who knows what they're exactly getting into? I don't particularly care. But here's the thing. The Washington Post has decided who they think of as being the band, the Eagles. They've drawn these kind of pencil portraits of 4 members of the Eagles, and they are Joe Walsh, Don Henley, Glenn Fry, and I'm guessing Randy Meisner.
Okay.
Not drawn, not depicted in the Washington Post is Don Felder.
The man who brought the rock and roll edge to the Eagles.
With his mandolin.
But that's what I'm saying. I feel he's fringe.
Yeah, he might be fringe.
And that's why that's why the imaging needed to. It's like the man who was very close to being drawn in the Washington Post portrait of the Eagles.
The man who brought the rock and roll edge to the Eagles.
I assume that was an EQC thing, right? That's where Don Felder was rocking out. I'm assuming.
I believe so.
That's probably.
Let me ask you, Andrew, an even more boring question than whither Don Felder. You're on this Monday. You don't have echo cancellation on, do you?
That is an interesting question. I might because, look at this, Luke. Look at the ears on Luke. Now, luckily, this has been annoying to you, but our listeners probably have not noticed it.
It has not been catastrophic, but it was definitely happening a bit, and I just wanted to double check on that.
So I can't turn it off while we're recording right now.
Okay.
So I can turn it off at the break. But let me explain.
But it's not going on the
listeners.
recording?
No, unless.
Oh, well, then I don't care.
Unless everything crashes and burns, and I need to use the Riverside backup, but I consider that my tertiary backup. Then we will be in trouble. But if you have echo this is interesting to the listeners. If Luke has echo cancellation on his voice, we'll all hear it, and it will drive us batty. But if I have it on my voice, which I apologize for, it's an uncomfortable sound. Let me describe to the listeners what it sounds like.
It's really not a big deal.
It's a function on this mechanism that we use, this application, this website service that we use to talk to each other down the line. But the listeners hear a sound that sounds better, hopefully, than let's say a Skype call or a What was the Microsoft one? Oh no, Skype and Zoom. Skype, Zoom. I don't know why I'm going to Skype, but where like they have all these built-in functions where if one person is talking, then it'll cut the other person out. I think it's supposed to help with like maybe
it's all too clever by half.
Yeah,
right?
And then you get that watery sound and everything, and so I don't like it when our recordings sound that way, and luckily they do not. But what Luke is hearing right now, every time we talk over top of each other, it probably cuts one of our voices out, and it sort of has that that meeting sound, right? Like we're in a
it's
corporate
really
call.
really not bad at all. And in fact, I say this a lot, but like it would not be worse audio quality than a lot of podcasts. Although maybe I should reconsider that. I've been saying that for years. Obviously, you really sweat the details on the audio quality of our show. In fact, oftentimes it's all we have going for us is that the audio quality is pretty high. When everybody jumped into this space, I feel like there was a lot of low quality podcasts, but I wonder if that's even still the case. I'm saying that, but like I'm not actually hearing evidence of that. I'm listening to the New York Times or,
Well, you're watching the New York Times, if I understand it correctly.
By the way, that continues apace. I had to watch the entire Scott Pelley being interviewed by Lulu Garcia-Navarro this weekend about, his firing from CBS. I just had to watch it on my phone while jogging on the treadmill because I cannot get the audio-only function to work.
So you and I hit on that very briefly on Friday's show because I have an Android and you have an iPhone, and apparently our experiences are different because I don't seem to have the ability to watch those videos, and you don't seem to have the ability to listen to the audio-only function, and it's kind of driving me batty because I was Googling, you and I were trading video screen caps on, I don't know if it was Friday or Saturday.
If people want to know how we spend our Friday afternoons, it's swapping cell phone videos about the New York Times audio app.
I mean, I think it's a good thing, actually, that I did not remember this dialing up with you today, because I swear to God, Luke. So for the listeners, Luke and I did not get to the bottom of it. It is driving me insane why our two phones treat the same app so differently. And that would be one thing. It's kind of like, well, they are different platforms or whatever and different kinds of phones. But the thing is, I could find nobody else online complaining about either aspect of this. And
that's why people come to this show.
That's why people come to this show. And that's why I feel like I want so badly. I want to fly you up to Seattle. I want to like rent a conference room where we take out all distractions. It's just you, me, our two phones, maybe a laptop or two, and maybe a blotter of acid just in case we get done early.
Yeah, just keep it interesting.
keep it. No, but there are so many things I want to troubleshoot that I want to let's eliminate this, let's eliminate that, and I can't do that with our two phones and being in different parts of the state. And also, I just don't. It sounds like you found a fine workaround, but for me, fine workarounds are never fine. I'm like a dog. It was literally the whole topic of Friday's show was my obsessive personality when it comes to like having a problem and feeling like, no, there is a solution to this. We just can't figure it out. And so I don't know.
What I think the issue is that it's a bit kludgy, or it's a bit the app itself. What happens is if the first thing that's been activated for me is the video interview, let's just say of Lulu Garcia-Navarro and Scott Pelley, then there is a tab. There is a little arrow that's like allegedly for audio only. Somebody emailed me about this weekend, and I don't have their email right in front of me, but thank you for suggesting this. What I would say to that person is, I know about that tab. I think it was listener Ross, by the way. Thank you, Ross, who's in Sweden, I think.
I don't think
I think Sweden might be a growing market for us.
Yeah, that's good. And this is also interesting to me, too, because I was going to ask that I had seen one person that maybe said, hey, when you're in the app, don't click on the image because that'll open up video. Make sure you're clicking on the little play button. And is that sort of similar?
The problem is once on my phone, once the video has been activated, whether I wanted it to be activated or not, then when I hit the little play button, it's only activating the video. In other words, and so I'll hit
You'd
play.
have to totally close out the app, probably do that.
Or something. It's not. It's lousy design, because what it keeps trying to do is once it makes up its mind that that I want to watch it on video, which again, for a lot of people, is how they experience a lot of this stuff. I mean, we just started the show by talking about Riverside. We are videotaping this entire thing, Andrew. This is all. Theoretically, this could be, I guess, a video podcast as well. We have the technology. But I mean, do you think there's going to be a point where we are going to need to switch over to posting the entire show? Do we have the last bastion of audio-only enthusiasts listening here? Is everybody else, like, for instance, I know I just asked you a question.
And the answer, well, I know that all of my like Comedy Bang Bang World stuff is audio only.
It's audio only. Okay.
Yeah, Scott doesn't mess around with any of that video.
That's good to know. I mean, I guess that also from a production standpoint, is everybody in studio when they're doing Comedy Bang Bang?
You know, this kind of goes back to something I wanted to say when you're talking about audio quality in other podcasts is I'm guessing that yes, for the most part, but during the pandemic is when, in fact, I'm pretty sure that they are 99.9% of the time all in the same studio together on kind of all of those
probably
shows.
Helps
because
with the improv, right?
Yeah, because I think they really struggled when they had to go to remote and for a couple of years. And I will say that is when I heard a lot of bad quality podcasts because a lot of comedians were at home and they said, well, we can't go out and do our gigs anymore. A lot of people were starting podcasts and they couldn't do it in person and they weren't audio people and they were all sequestered, right? And so everybody was firing up their Zooms or maybe even their Riversides, but they didn't know how to use Riverside at the time and it was a newer product. And we just had this plethora of comedians doing podcasts that would be so compelling to me, and I hate to be such an audio snob, but there have been so many times where I've been excited to play a podcast and I turn it on and it sounds like, oh, well, one person is on a speakerphone in a garage, another person is in space, and another person is using Skype V1 from 1999.
And so maybe that's changed over time. I think that the professionalization of podcasting has probably led to an improvement in the audio quality. By the way, I'm going to Comedy Bang Bang in Portland, I think, August 11th.
Oh, fun.
You want to go with me?
I don't know. Are you going for a work thing? Is it the ground beefing tour?
I guess. I don't know. This sounds like a flex, but Paul F. Tompkins just said, hey, we're going to be in town doing the show if you want to come by.
Oh,
like,
nice.
just to watch it, not, of course, to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I said yes because it was a nice offer. Really what I thought was, you should really ask my friend Andrew about the night before in Seattle. Because that's the guy you want. That's your P1.
Yeah, I've never
I
been
can probably
to a
help
Comedy
you with
Bang
that, by
Bang
the way.
show. That is nice. Yeah, I've never been to one before. I like that he reached out to you. That's very sweet. In fact, I like him.
He's very polite. Paul
Yeah.
F. Tompkins is not only dapper in his sartorial sense, but he's just an old school, polite, thoughtful gentleman.
Yeah.
Would you go to see that show live as a fan? Is that the kind of thing you would even want to do?
Well, hearing what is sweet. I mean, listen, if Paul F. Tompkins reached out to me directly and said, hey, do you want to come to the show in Seattle? I would make an effort to do that because I'm a fan of his, and also I'd be super, super flattered. As a random fan of that show, Luke, and I'm trying to think if this is going to open up a can of worms about I don't know if insecurities play into this or not, but generally speaking, when I listen to my audio products, and this predates podcasting, by the way, this is the same for even when I loved like dorky public radio informational shows. If they were doing something live, I never was super compelled to go. And I remember having these thoughts because at the time I worked for a nerdy information-based public radio show, and we would make efforts to get out in the community and do a live exchange with Laura Canoy in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, or whatever. And I always think like, we're doing this. There's some benefit of doing this. There's benefit of letting people kind of meet Laura, and that was the host of the show, and blah, blah, blah. But generally speaking, this does not, I'm a radio producer, and this does not make better radio. Now, the Comedy Bang Bang thing is completely different. I think they put on a hell of a show, and I think that Scott's a really good producer and would put on a show very much knowing that this goes beyond something that sounds good on the podcast. I bet you it would be a very entertaining night. Yet, all of that is to say, no, I've been hearing him promote it forever. It never even occurred to me once to buy tickets to it. Like my Comedy Bang Bang experience is like this weird intimate thing where I put it, I draw a bath. And I slip.
You're going to start talking about Orify again?
And I slip out of my cashmere rope. No, it's like, it's in my headphones. It's literally in my head while I'm cooking dinner on a Sunday night, and that's how I experience it. I'm not necessarily drawn to going and seeing that live. And then also, as a podcaster, it might make me feel a little, I don't know for sure, but it might give me some feelings of inadequacy. I'm not sure.
My relationship with live versions of what are otherwise studio podcasts is that I'm generally not a huge fan of listening to those episodes. So like I like This American Life a lot. When they do a live one, I usually skip that because what I like about that show, my listening experience is the intimacy of how it's produced and they're in a quiet room talking to someone or whatever. That being said, I would also go see them do This American Life live because I wouldn't be going for the same experience. Or I would go see, like if I liked, I'm trying to think of a personality-driven podcast. I really don't listen to, I mean, other than like the Howard Stern show, which is effectively a podcast now. So I'm with you that like if I was just listening, I would be less intrigued by the live version of something. But I would like to go to see something that I like just because it'd be fun to see those people, just to see them moving around in the world. Which just feels like a great time to announce our plans for the 5,000th, Andrew. Should we go ahead and do that right here, right now?
Yes. What we're going to do is, wait, do we have the pyrotechnics? Do we have all those lined up? I'm not sure if I want to talk about it until we're locked in.
Okay, let's get the pyrotechnics worked out, and then we'll make the announcement. No, but I mean, I have a feeling that probably it's similar for the 10s when we do a live show, which is this, you and I talking this way on Riverside with echo cancellation on is what they're used to. It's what they love. But then I guess
they love it with echo cancellation off.
But then the appeal of coming to a live event is just that like we get to chat and hang out and be around each other, and they get to be the 10s get to be around each other, which is also actually its whole fun thing. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that a TBTL live when we're on stage is the highest expression of this show. It's probably not. Honestly, it's probably us crying about trees. Yes. That's the sweet spot for us, and I'm not even kidding. Yeah, I kid. Please be more specific. Now, I wanted to mention just really briefly on the subject of podcasting and the way that it is evolving over time and how it's being recorded. I have to say, I think that the music producer Benny Blanco and the I guess you could say rapper and actor Dave Bird, a.k.a. Lil Dicky, who I believe we started the show with on Friday, Andrew.
Friday, I think, yeah.
They have, I think, a genius podcast, which I have not seen this before. The premise is just they're in, I believe it's one of their homes. It's obviously a very nice home. And they're mic'd up, and I think it might be Dave Bird's, like his girlfriend is also part of it. So it's like the three of them. And then they just have guests on. But what's cool is they're just in the house. It has the feel of almost like The Real World or like a Kardashian. I'm saying this in a positive, believe it or not. There is something that's very unstructured about it because they're just sitting around on the couch or somebody will be standing in the kitchen.
So you are watching this. You're not listening to
You're watching it. This is on the subject, I guess, of video versus audio. But this is taken to a whole new level because they're wearing lavalier mics. And it looks nice. It's obviously lit and shot, very professionally, but it has the feeling of being a totally casual conversation. Like they just had Jason Sudeikis on. I'm trying to remember who a previous guest was that was on that I was enjoying. Where it really feels like you're a fly on the wall, and these people are just kind of like hanging out and talking. And again, it's like somebody will be just standing in the kitchen and they're like eating blueberries. Somebody else is in a chair. People get up, they move around. It's the most organic looking thing I've ever seen. And it really seems to generate genuine conversation. Like it's a very, very clever approach to staging one of these things.
Now, have you tried listening only? Is there,
no.
a way to listen?
And in fact,
do you think that would be one that you'd have to totally skip?
No, I don't think so.
Levitard was like, they did video stuff, but like I only almost exclusively consumed it as an audio podcast, and it mostly worked that way.
I think this would work fine as audio as well. I mean, it's just three people having a conversation. But the video part of it I find to be really compelling. It's just a really good way to present this kind of information. And I'll tell you this, I have not watched the entire show, nor have I listened to it, Andrew, because the clips are the show now. This is the thing. Like, I don't know if we're ready for this reality, but there are so many of these shows now that, in fact, the guy who does Subway Takes, and I wish I could tell you his name off the top of my head, but he's actually been on a media tour right now. You know, the little clip show where they're on the subway holding the Metro card and it's got a little mic attached to it. That guy's been doing a bunch of media lately. I don't know if they're trying to do something new with Subway Takes or turn it into something bigger and better, but he was saying this thing that I've been hearing a lot now, which is he said, the clips are the show. I'm guessing that there is a 30-minute version of Subway Takes somewhere that I could get, maybe? I mean, I don't know. I haven't even looked into it. What I know is that I experience it as 45-second to 1-minute clips that I see on TikTok. And that's how I watch the show.
Mm-hmm.
And part of me weeps because of that, because I'm a long-form guy. In fact, I think I saw an unstructured ball cap that said long-form enthusiast, and I was going to buy it. Because I am, generally speaking, a long-form content enthusiast, and there's something that feels very like we're losing, I don't know, our humanity or something, where the clips are the show. But also, that's all I can tell you about Subway Takes. I can just tell you, like, Jeff Tweedy, you'll like this. Well, I think you'll like this one, Andrew. I think Jeff Tweedy said, we've had enough with the clever socks.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one. Or maybe we've talked about that clip on the show before, yeah.
Like, we've had enough with the joke socks.
I'm on board with that.
And that's all I know from that episode. Or was it an episode? Is there a longer form version of that show, Subway Takes, that exists?
Looks like it. I'm on their YouTube page now, and it looks like the featured one, which I assume is the latest one with Hassan Minhaj, is 30 minutes.
Fucking guy.
30 minutes long. I remember.
How is that guy still working?
What was his controversy again? I'm sorry that I already
His
forgot.
controversy is he lied
Oh,
about
that's
his
right.
daughter getting anthrax on her, and also that he was turned
right.
away from his prom date because he was brown.
Yeah, that's right.
These are two things that never happened.
Yeah,
and I do not understand how we're eliding this.
I forgot. I remember we had talked about it on the show because it was I feel like we had a somewhat nuanced conversation about it, because as a comedian, I don't, if you're going to see a stand-up comedian, you don't assume that every premise, every setup is a true story. But the way he was telling it, it wasn't stand-up comedy. It was more of a, it involved very serious issues around his race and the way people who are not white are treated in this country, which is a really important conversation to have. And then to be presenting it in this way that is like humorous, but more of a almost not TED talky, which like more of a monologue than stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
That seems like a huge breach of trust, and I know that's how but here it is.
There's a reason
I just
why
saw
Mike
his name,
Daisy
and
got kind of
But then here we are. I just saw his name. I'm like, oh yeah, the name rings a bell, and I already had forgotten what the controversy.
I'll never forget.
That's me though. That's probably
the
my
North
brain.
remembers. Like, all I wanted from him, again, he doesn't owe me personally anything, but I wanted a reasonable mea culpa. That was the thing that really frustrated me, was he acted like it was insane. I think it was like a New York Magazine piece where, because one of the stories that he told to great effect in his presumably highly compensated comedy special was how he had shown up to pick up his prom date and had been told by the prom date's mother, we can't have our daughter going to the prom with a brown person. And what I believe was, after he was telling this story publicly all over the place, that person, and maybe her family, said, that is absolutely not what happened. And then this New York Magazine person started digging into it, and it was provably not the case. Like, the dates didn't line up. And then another big story that he told was how he had, when he was, speaking truth to power about whatever, that someone had mailed what could have been anthrax to his house, and it had gotten on his daughter, this white powder, and he was taking her to the ER, and he was thinking, is my wife going to divorce me because I've made this happen to our family through my, incredible truth-telling? And none of that happened.
Yeah.
And that's just so far beyond, I was having a steak sandwich the other day, and there was gristle in it as the setup for a joke about steak sandwiches.
Yeah, right.
To me, it's like, okay, that went way over the line. Of what the agreement is, the sort of unspoken agreement is between the audience and the performer. But what you could do if you're Hassan Minhaj is you could say, yeah, I thought that was in the service of my joke telling and making a larger point. And it is a thing that has happened to people, but it didn't happen to me. And I'm going to just kind of I'll be aware when I'm writing these jokes going forward about what, where the line is. That would have been sufficient. He just fully made it sound like it was borderline racist of the person to ask these questions. And then he's just
stop bullying me.
He's had zero impact on his professional career. He's on everybody's shows all the time. And I just find it, you can tell this is a hobby horse for me. I just find it so weird.
His so I'm on the YouTube page for Subway Takes, and I did not realize until this very moment either that it is a full 30-minute, I guess, podcast on YouTube, and then what we've been seeing on TikTok are just clips from it. I had no idea. I thought it literally was like short form, like, what is your hot take on this? That's not usually 30 seconds. So apparently they parlay it into a more broad, I'm guessing maybe more typical sort of sit down with comedians, only it all does take place on the subway. But they're 30 minutes long, but it does highlight what his hot take is, which I think I agree with. And I don't know. I'm not trying to.
Comics should be allowed to lie about their kids getting anthrax on them?
If it's telling the right message, if it's sending the right message. No, it's restaurants got to stop singing happy birthday to adults, which I think I agree with, except
sure.
Are we seeing that? Are we seeing a lot of a restaurant? I think
Hassan Minoj saw it one time and it shocked him. We can't prove it, but it absolutely happened to him.
Like, I'm trying to think if I'm going to the different kinds of restaurants, or maybe I'm just not observing it. Because I remember whenever that would happen, if I was in a restaurant, I would just cringe. Like, I guess like kind of fun chain restaurants. Now that I think about it, and I don't want to dox anybody, but let's say that somebody who is in my family actually worked at one of those, and he's a listener of the show, worked at one of those, I don't know, Crab Shacky kind of chains down in Georgia or something like that.
Sure.
And we were there
Probably
one time.
Like Dick's Last Resort.
It might have been. They were famous for that whole
Joe's
thing.
Crab
Like,
Shack.
here it comes, and everybody
probably
stops.
Dick's.
Oh, and I was like, yeah, it wasn't the insulting one. Is that the one where they're
well,
insulting?
then not. I think Dick's is the insulting one. I think
No.
Joe's Crab Shack is just also kind of like a lot of energy from the servers, a lot of personality, but not in a negative way. Whereas I think that the Dick's Last Resort, its stated deal is to be mean to you for some reason.
Yeah, I guess it's just I don't go to restaurants that really do that much. I like the idea of Joe the Insult Crab, by the way. That's a character that I'm going to work on. And I want you to work on your joke about your meat having too much grizzle in it, by the way. You gave us just a little taste of that, as it were, and I'm waiting for the whole thing.
I'm going to go on Mike Birbiglia's show, Working It Out, and I'm going to just bring that and say, what do we got? Where do we go from here? By the way, just in the interest of completism, Kareem Rama is the guy who is the host of Subway Takes. And I want to say, like, I saw him being interviewed. He was on stage. The mic flag he had said ad age, so it must have been some sort of a conference about. This was like an interview. He was being interviewed at this point, talking about
for Ad Age magazine,
maybe for Ad Age magazine.
Okay.
But this is where he was talking about the clips being the content. And I have to say, the guy struck me as pretty smart. Like, he certainly gets it and has figured out. Although he said they were out of money. Is Dropout TV? Is that who does Subway Takes?
I don't know. Dropout TV.
Dropout TV is a very interesting outfit to me. I think I could be mixing up my things, but I think it's well, there is this. I talked about this maybe a couple of years ago on the show, but there is this production company that's doing like a lot of shows. They were the one like Boy Rooms or something that Rachel Coaster hosted, which was just basically like she would just go and check out the rooms of like single men in their 20s and just try to understand what was really going on with like furniture decisions and like just the basically the living nightmare that can be a 28-year-old guy's room living in Bushwick, you know? And there was a Times article about this production company that was making a bunch of these just little shows, but one of the things that was cool was they're apparently very equitable with the performers. Like everybody who put these shows together, they were vested in this whole thing, and they were just making a lot of interesting content for almost no money, but were having success with it as kind of a new model for making TV stuff. I'm not sure if Subway Takes is one of those shows or not, but the guy Kareem Rama was saying that they were basically out of money and out of ideas, and this was his last idea. They had tried all these other like talk show formats and things, and it wasn't going anywhere. And he said basically, well, we could go on the subway and just get someone's hottest take and make that the clip, and it took off.
I'm trying to think what my hot take would be. I feel like I know there's one that's right on the tip of my tongue that I feel like is a unique take of mine that I think about a lot, and I'm sure I've aired it on the show before, and it's driving me crazy that I can't think of it right now. The one that I guess my backup one, if Kareem was like, and I assume this will happen maybe sometime this week. If he were to knock on my door and say, hey, listen, I need somebody for Subway takes, I'm like, you mean E-line takes? And he says, yes. And then we get on the back of the E-line. The best one that I have that I would grab right now is never put ketchup on a hot dog. No, just joking.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Any hot take about how other people should eat food is garbage to me. But there's my hot take. Don't have hot takes about food. But no, I said this, speaking of live shows, I aired this out with Jen when we were at Rebar those many years ago now, because I had posted this take to Twitter, and I think she wanted to confront me about it on stage, and confront me she did. I don't like any song that has rock and roll in the lyrics or is like an ode to rock and roll in any way. There's like one Gillian Welch song that's
what about, like,
the man who brought the rock and roll edge to the
what about commercials that remind us of who brought the rock and roll edge to the Eagles?
I have a soft spot in my heart for that. It's actually something that the doctor's kind of keeping an eye on right now.
So you're a hard no on Kiss wanting to rock and roll all night and party every day.
Yes, and then even like I'm trying to think, I heard was an Elvis song this weekend. I don't know. It's just like, ugh, like it just to me, and it's probably my eye rolly generation, and it probably has something to do with maybe rejecting the boomers above me. But like I've just always hated this idea of just like we're singing about rock and roll, or it's a tribute to rock and roll.
Let the song stand for itself.
Or I like to rock, and it appears in all different kinds of genres as well. Like I said, Gillian Welch has a song called something about rock and roll, which I actually would otherwise sort of like, but I just like I think hers is I want to hear that rock and roll, and it's like a very slow, like kind of folky country song. But yeah, I don't know. There's something about singing about rock and roll that makes me cringe.
My Subway take would be have them tear out some of the bread, because it's too much bread. It's more bread than I need, and so I usually have them. I'm always a little embarrassed to ask, but they're usually pretty happy to help.
Yeah, I think depending on the situation, right? But you're talking at like your chain sandwich shops, right?
I'm talking about Subway. See, that was the joke.
Oh,
like, Subway
I didn't know. Oh, I didn't get it.
You go to Subway, you have them tear the bread out.
No, I didn't get that.
See, that
joke.
was.
Yeah.
When's the last time you went to Subway, by the way?
You know, I was no stranger to going to Subway. I used to go to Subway a lot, but there just aren't.
Wait, you're not on trial here.
No, I will stand for Subway. If you don't stand for Subway, you stand for nothing.
I was at Subway yesterday.
Yeah, I'll eat one right now. No, that's funny, but it's just like I don't know. Like if there's a stigma around that, like I just feel like that was my chain sandwich shop. Like that was my singular chain sandwich shop forever. Like if I was on a road trip, usually, and I know that Subway is not health food, but there's something about like eating a cold cut sandwich that doesn't make me feel quite as bad as eating like a hot burger or something, like if I'm in a car driving on a road trip or something. So, like I would stop for Subway would be my go-to. Lunch, maybe once every couple of weeks, swing by a Subway.
I still crave it every once in a while. I get it on the way home from Livewire sometimes.
The smell of the bread, I think, is somewhat controversial. Some people love it, some people don't, but like it works for me when I smell a Subway. But the only one that was around me was that one that was up on Aurora and 125th, which is just like, I mean, it is just the sleaziest, most awful like combo gas station / the Subway shop was not part of the gas station, but it's like this little lot. I don't know if you can picture it, Luke. It's across from the street from where that bar and grill used to be. 100. I think I said 25th.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
125th.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
There's a really little rotten corner there. I've
been to that Subway.
It's gone now, and it looks like some other little like taqueria or something might have taken it over and maybe cleaned it up a bit. But every now and then I would go in there, but it gave me the bad feeling. I didn't like that. And then since then, there are not any convenient Subways, so I'm eating way less takeout sandwiches. And when I do get one, on the rare occasion, it's Jersey Mike's up the street.
Here's the thing with my experience with Subway employees. Is when I walk into a Subway, which is probably about 2 times a year, maybe 3 times a year, and I do occasionally just have a weird craving for it. The Subway employees that I have interacted with are either the best employees of anywhere I've ever been, or people for whom this is the absolute last place they would ever want to be. Like I've never just had like an average down the middle Subway employee? Have you ever had somebody who I'm like, I need to start a company and make this person, like hire this person just because that's how dynamic they are behind the the veggies? Or, wow, this person is struggling and they should not be in a front-facing operation.
Like, who was that
only
person?
2 lanes.
This literally might have been the last time I was in a Subway, if that tells you anything. But it was our trip back from Friendship, Wisconsin.
Okay.
To the Twin Cities. You, me, and John stopped at the Subway, right? And remember, there was an employee.
That place was packed.
Yes, we waited far too long for that. But then you started telling the employee to do something, and then they pretended like they didn't know what you were talking about, and it turns out they were just busting your chops. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I
they
think
gave
that
you
was
a
bread
straight
tearing.
up no, or it might have been the bread tearing.
It was the bread tear.
And they're like, no, I don't know how to do that, and you like for a second were like, oh, and they were like, I'm just joking.
Yeah,
which is pretty great, by the way.
Yeah, because again, back to the bread tear, I feel like I'm being so extra to ask for that. There's something. It's not a carbohydrate thing at this point for me. It is purely just that like. It's a little too much bread for me, and so, but it feels like I'm really asking them to like pre-chew my food for me. Could you tear out some of the bread, please? There's that voice again from last week. But so I think I'm overly apologetic when I ask for it, and so I'm kind of asking for them to give me a little bit of a hard time because I'm being so like, okay, I know this is annoying, but is there any chance you could tear out some of this bread? And I think that person was like, no. And I was like, what? And they were like, no, I'm just messing with
I know, which is, I mean, on a really busy day.
By the way.
And just kind of deadpanned it, right? It wasn't like a big goofball or something. Just kind of gave you
I'm
that
not going to
little
lie.
shit.
That sandwich kind of hit the spot, too.
Yeah. Yeah, literally, that might have been the last Subway I've had. And so that's going on a year ago now, right?
Well, you're due, my friend.
I'm in a Subway desert.
We was hoping for some razzle-dazzle.
Razzle-dazzle.
That's right, man. Razzle-dazzle.
On your mark.
On your mark.
Get set.
Get set.
Now ready.
Ready. Go.
Everybody razzle dazzle.
All right, let's thank some dazzling donors. We don't have the millions of views of a show like Subway Takes, or the I don't know the coffers that the Comedy Bang Bang universe likely has. What we've got are folks like Sarah Nickel Smith donating money to this program voluntarily now for years and years, helping keep us going. Sarah, of course, is a real estate agent to the Stars. In this case, the Stars being Andrew and Genevieve.
Oh, my goodness. And also, I'm looking ahead at Sarah's message. Are you seeing the synchronicity of the bridge between Sarah's message and our conversation leading into this?
I am, Andrew. And by the way, it doesn't stop there. Wait till we get to our second donor today. There is a kismet that is coursing through the program today.
My goodness.
That you and I could have never planned because that would involve planning, something we don't do a lot of.
I sent you these 2 dazzling donor messages on Friday, and we're just kind of going in order now. There's only a few more to go, and this is what sort of showed up in the sheet, and I'm looking ahead. You're right. There is so much kismet. And you don't believe.
You're like Oz the mentalist. I don't know how you did this to me. You somehow sent me these donors. I didn't look at them until right now, but you got me to talk about topics that are relevant to both of the messages from the dazzling donors. Are you familiar with Oz the mentalist?
I don't think so. How do you spell Oz?
He's a big OZ.
Just
like
OZ,
Oz, but it
looks like Oz.
Oz Perlman is his name. It's pronounced Oz, but
okay.
He's become quite the sensation, particularly with pro athletes.
Okay.
So he's this mentalist, and he shows up on all kinds of like NFL things and Hard Knocks and stuff, and he just gets and in lots of different TV shows. He's done some incredible stuff on the Howard Stern Show. He's very, very talented performer. But of course, Andrew, the other day, speaking of podcasts, I listened to an entire episode of Pablo Torre Finds Out, where they just go in and absolutely debunk everything he's doing.
Oh,
just explain to you how he's getting it all done. And I had mixed feelings about it. I was like, I was listening, of course, I was interested, but it in the revealing of certain things, it made it a little less fun for me. I ruined it for myself.
Well, it's interesting. First of all, that's a good reminder that that's a podcast that I love, that I've fallen out of listening to, that I would like to return to, actually. Because I have the ones that I consume like vigorously, like all the comedy Bang Bang stuff. I like the second it hits my feet, I want to watch
you vigorously consuming a podcast.
then I slip out of my robe into the bubble bath. But then I have a handful of those that are like good standbys for when I'm out of the content, and Pablo is definitely one of those, and so that's a good reminder for me. But here's the deal. So I just want to read to you the first line of Oz Perlman's Wikipedia page. Oz Perlman is an Israeli-American mentalist, author, magician, and long-distance runner of marathons and ultramarathons.
Yeah,
I sort of, and I might be being too pedantic here, but when somebody claims to be a mentalist, I don't think that we can just officially say they are a mentalist, right? Like, and tell me if I'm wrong. I'm so willing to be talked out of this, but like calling somebody a magician makes sense to me because it's kind of like, well, that's an act, right? Yeah. Like it's calling somebody a magician is like calling somebody a stand-up comedian if that's what they do. Like, yeah, I'm a magician, but I feel like a mentalist because they try to. I feel like, and could be wrong about this, because they try to actually claim a certain power that is less of an act and more of a lie. But am I? Maybe I'm misinterpreting the idea of what a mentalist is, though.
Well, that's the thing. Okay, so Sarah, we'll get to you in a moment.
Sarah, calm down.
But the thing that Oz Perlman says, I guess you could say sort of to his credit, all this comes up a lot in the Pablo Torre conversation about him, is he says, Oz Perlman says, I am not able to read your mind. I do not have magical powers. What I can do is read body language. I can read so he does not claim to have a magic power or the power to, but the argument that Pablo Torre and his guest put forward is that he also is not a master of reading your body language, that is actually a lie. And he's written a whole book, Oz has, about how to like use this technique to like do better in your negotiations and stuff. And what their argument is, and cover your ears if you don't want Oz the Mentalist ruined for you, their argument is that really what he's doing is he's pre-interviewing people. He's just doing a bunch of kind of sort of slightly more basic things that is giving him the information that he needs. So it's a little less. He's not really reading someone's body language as much as he claims to be. He already kind of knows. Like one of the tricks, he does this trick to Charles Barkley, where you watch this on TV and it looks like Oz the Mentalist has like I think written down the name of a random player in the NCAA. I think this might have been around March Madness coverage, and he tells Charles Barkley to basically pick a name out of the air of any college basketball player, any men's college basketball player. And he ends up picking this name, and then Oz opens the envelope, and he's got the name of the guy there. And it's like completely insane. Nobody can believe it. Well, really what he's done is like he's actually, in talking to Charles Barkley beforehand, he's sort of narrowed it down. He's done this certain card trick. He's got all the names of a bunch of players. He's done this certain card trick that gives... This is all off air. Charles Barkley, the illusion that he's kind of picked a name at random, although Oz Perlman has really set it up so he's going to get this one name. And he gives him these two possibilities, and one guy has a short name and one guy has a really long name. Now, this is where the body language thing comes in, because Oz now, through all this backstage stuff, basically has a 50-50 chance of guessing. He's got Charles Barkley down to two players, even though Charles Barkley has this illusion of control of having picked these two names from a huge number of names. Oz the whole time is controlling the situation, so he understands that there's a long name guy and a short name guy. And when he says to Charles, okay, think of your guy, he's like, think of how many letters are in the guy's name. And now, based on the amount of time that it takes Charles to count the numbers, one guy's got like 11 letters in his name, one guy's got like 4.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Bob versus,
Exactly. So that now gets Oz. He now knows which one of the two Charles Barkley has picked. Here's the problem. Charles Barkley has picked the one that he hasn't written down. He had a 50-50 chance. So then he does something to Charles Barkley. He goes, you picked him, right? He goes, okay, do this. You know what? Just to prove to everybody that this is could be anybody. Go back to the other one you were going to pick. Just erase the one you were going to do and pick the other one. Just to show everyone how hard this is or whatever. And he makes it seem like he's adding more kind of randomness to it, but really what he's doing is getting Barkley back to the other name because he's had the other name written down.
Oh my God! So he wrote. Let's just say he wrote down the shorter name of the two. That
he wrote down Wembenyama.
Okay, right.
Wembenyama.
And then so and without getting into detail, but the story explains how backstage or whatever through chatting he narrowed it down to the two different names. Okay, so then when Charles takes a beat to go W-E, and he's like, okay, oh shoot, he took the long name. Oh, but I got Bob
and I've got
Smith
the short name written down or whatever.
Okay,
So then he does this thing, but what's amazing when you hear it unfolding in real time, it just makes it actually more incredible because it sounds like he's like, pick anybody. It's just like if I said to you, Andrew, pick any NFL player that you can think of, and then you think of one and I'll go, okay, now you know what? Erase that and go to the other one you were thinking of.
Right.
I'd be like even more crazy that somehow I did that, but in fact, he was just needing to get back to the name he had written down in the thing.
Somehow they were both clipboard Jesus, though.
That was so much.
What
Charlie Whitehurst.
Whitehurst. God damn it! I couldn't think of his last name. That would have been so much funnier if I could.
He's the man that brought the clipboard Jesus to the Eagles. All right, Sarah.
All right, Sarah.
You've waited long enough. Now here's why we were talking about the kismet of the show, because Sarah said, as I sit here in the Linwood location of Tubbs Gourmet Subs, waiting for my veggie sub, I was thinking about the places of TBTL lore and realized what a better place to complete my overdue assignment. I feel very bad about how
we're getting more and more of these, aren't we? As we get to the end of the list, people are like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm late. I didn't do my homework."
I wonder if Sarah ended up randomly in that Tubbs, because you loved the Tubbs on Lake City Way, and then it went away, and you mourned that, and then we had, I think, a fair number of listeners started frequenting Tubbs because of your rave reviews.
Yes, and so there's a Linwood location, and there's also, and I feel like Linwood had been there for a while. I don't know if it's a new. Somebody had written in to say it was a new one, but I thought that Linwood had been there for a while. But where did they move their Lake City Way one?
I think like Woodinville or something.
It's out sort of that way. It's definitely a little bit east, but I don't think it was quite Woodinville. But anyway, I have not been since they left Seattle. That is absolutely true.
Well, maybe you should make a little journey.
Yeah.
So Sarah's sitting in a Tubbs writing this overdue assignment. As always, I want to express how much this mighty outlet produced by you business boys, day in and day out, matters. I drove past the Spiro's billboard on my way up here to show a house in Linwood.
Always.
And I thought about last year's Thon and how it was such a fun listen with you all becoming buddies with the good people of friendship. Only TBTL could turn a befuddled observation about a billboard into a week of getting to know an entire community. You know what, Sarah?
That's kind of
I'm going to take that compliment. I'm going to accept that compliment on behalf of the show, because you're right. That was a pretty funny outcome.
That is
a pretty cool outcome. Think about meeting Harriet and meeting Bob at Wisconsin 106, and the guy, was it Jim, our guy who ran the Historical Society?
Yeah.
Just the fact that in a certain way, I mean, that was in a bizarre way somewhat of an outgrowth of like you just thinking that Always with Spiro's was a weird thing to put on a billboard.
I still stand by it. And by
Always
the way,
in a relationship with?
Well, I think I think that Sarah's got it in her next line here.
Oh, okay.
It's in a relationship with Spiro's ... always is a billboard for a pizza shop, and the billboard is in my neighborhood, and the pizza shop is like, I don't know, 3 miles up the road in Shoreline.
Let's see. Sarah says that's why it's the 10s who are in a relationship with TBTL. Always. TBTL is community builders, and I love being part of it. For another year, I'd love to extend my offer if you use me as your realtor to buy or sell a home. I'd love to sponsor you as a dazzling donor when the 2027 Thon comes around. If you use me to help connect you with a realtor in a different region, I'll be your donor of the day daddy.
Ooh.
You can reach me at nicholsmith at lakere.com. So it's Nickel is Nickel, and then Smith, standard spelling, and then at lakere.com. I think, is she at Lake and Company?
It is, yes, Lake and Company Real.
Told you, that's like, I mean, that was like the cool real estate company when I was a kid riding my bike down to Green Lake Jake's and Bumpy's Fruit and Yogurt and stuff. Go by that Lake and Company office there, right on Green Lake Way.
I think
anyway,
I was passing it the other day. Is that where because you told me about this the last time maybe we were thinking, Sarah, it's right where the Duke's Seafood is now, right? By
Chowder House.
It was like a
no free ads. They were the Hassan Minhaj of chowder.
What's that?
Oh, I have a long-running beef with Duke's Chowder House because he weaseled my dad out of a bunch of money once. And I was very mad at him.
Well, then never mind.
Very
I
mad
won't
at
finish
him.
my story because I was going to say I passed it on a sunny day. I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago. And it was just like, it was the middle of the week, but it was all these people just like enjoying a lunch and probably some beer shandies or something out on this like kind of sun-soaked deck overlooking Green Lake. And I was kind of like, I could see that happening. I could see that happening in my life.
I mean, it's a lovely... I worked there, too, by the way. I was one of the, bus boys at that Duke's Chowder House. And then I parked cars in front of the other one that was on... over on, Lake Union. And that was the whole problem. That was the whole issue with... So my dad did all this sign work for that location of Duke's. And then Duke Moscript, the owner, he declared bankruptcy on that location. But he has multiple restaurants, but they're set up as LLCs. They're set up as individual entities.
How is that
so
legal?
that if he bails on one of them, you can't go after him for the other ones. And my dad was a small fish. I think this was on the order of about $7,000. But to the Burbank family, and
are you kidding me?
In whenever that was, 1993 or something, that's big money.
Shit, yeah.
And he just, this was this super rich restaurateur who just. Really, it was real Donald Trump behavior, honestly. It was like, I don't have to pay out any of the subcontractors because what are they going to do? Hire a lawyer to get the $7,000 from me?
Wow.
And so that was and then, Andrew, when I moved back home to do TBTL on the radio, there must have been a night where I got home after the show. I'm sure I was getting into my cups or something, that I wrote this guy, Duke, a truly unhinged email.
What rate was it? Was this around the time that he was screwing the family business?
No,
over?
this was years later.
So what sparked it? Something on the show
alcohol?
that night?
Who knows?
Well, okay,
something.
But there was something that just put it that reminded you of it.
Something reminded me of it. It must have. I don't think there was anything actively happening, and this was like this was like years after. This thing was over. My dad had moved on. I hadn't, obviously, and I just think I got a bunch of alcohol in me, presumably, and I got triggered somehow. I got thinking about this, and I sent him this email. I had no memory of sending the email, but then years later, when I was going into like a Hotmail account of mine or something, I don't know if I found it in the sent messages or he had responded and said something like, I don't really know what you're talking about, but this is like wildly inappropriate. I went off on the guy. There may have been threats of physical violence.
Whoa. So in a response to his response, you went
No.
Oh, in your original.
In my initial, in my opening salvo.
Yikes! And you're a radio host, like you're like known or
kind of.
To a degree,
I mean,
you're trying to get known.
At that time, I'm on the terrestrial radio in Seattle, sending like very unhinged. And for whatever this guy did, and it wasn't okay. My email was not appropriate.
Yeah.
And I had it was a very unsettling experience to be reading this email that I had generated as if it were the first time I had seen any of these words, because as far as my conscious awareness, it was. You know what I mean? This idea that, like, people talk about, like, waking up in jail and not knowing what happened. Like, this felt like it could have been that kind of moment. Like, I had no memory of sending this wildly inappropriate and threatening email.
And in a certain way, that is why online shopping really is a saving grace, because a lot of people just shifted that kind of energy of like late night angry emails
to
I don't know, exes, exactly what I was going to say. And now it's just kind of like, I don't know why I ordered these coasters with my name on the side of a penguin, but now we have these coasters.
Well, if you would like to send an extremely hinged email
Please.
To Sarah Nichol Smith, you can email her at lakere.com, or you can DM her. This is, I'm guessing, on Instagram, at Nichol Smith Realtor. At Nichol Smith Realtor. Can't wait to hear what you're up to for this year's Thon. That is from our friend Sarah. I'm just telling you, she was your real estate agent. You guys love your home. And
absolutely.
In fact,
I think, can I just say something actually,
please,
Luke, if you don't mind me interrupting? I think Sarah remains a friend. In fact, I think we need to set up a date for her to come meet Lucy at some point. But I think about Sarah a lot because not only do I truly love our home here, and honestly, the life that we've sort of built around it, not to be super corny, but I think about it a lot sometimes, like the things that had to happen to lead us to this particular corner of the universe, me and Genevieve together, and having Sarah on our side, and not to do a commercial for her, but what she brings to the table is a lot of experience that is in like legal experience and stuff too, that goes beyond what I think you get.
I believe she's an attorney as well.
Exactly, and so
as a rounding error on her career.
Yeah, so I mean, just as a general, like very, very smart person to advocate for you in a world that I knew nothing about was like really important. But also, like, she gave us some really, really sweet housewarming gifts and stuff, including a small little token, which is like this little, I'm sure I've said this on the show many times, but it's a little plastic prism that she gave it to us. And I don't know if she hung it there or if we hung it in our little kitchen window. And I remember being like, oh, this is our house. And someday I will like kind of wash dishes in the sink and look out this window. And on sunny days, that prism still hangs there. And on sunny days, it kind of comes through and, sends little rainbows around the kitchen. And for me, it's always a good little reminder of both like Sarah's role in all of this, and also just kind of how lucky we are now with our little dog. And we're getting to know our neighbors even more now. Like Lucy has a new best friend, Edna May, down the street, who's a what's a really long dog that has a really, really good nose, but it's not a bloodhound, it's the other one.
They're long, but it's not a
basset hound, because because I know that this dog Edna May sometimes goes to Basset Bash on Capitol Hill, I think. But anyway, just like none of this would be exactly how it is if it weren't for our friendship and our relationship with Sarah. And I don't know, I just feel like a really lucky guy. I'm the luckiest guy on the Lower East Side. And Sarah wants to go for a ride. I don't know. That got weird at the end.
Yeah, because I was texting with Vives. I think was sending me. I mean, we were talking about it when you guys were looking at multiple houses, and I think you maybe have been outbid on a couple or something, or just it's a very competitive market. And then there was this house, and it was like, yeah, but this is definitely a no-go. Like this is just. This is kind of a dream house for us, or this house has so much going for it, but also it's just not going to happen. And I remember it being kind of like based on what you'd been through, just thinking this is pie in the sky. And then like 2 days later being like, or hearing like, oh yeah, no, looks like that's happening now. I mean, that's just amazing. I was so happy for you.
Yeah.
That's good job with the bully offer. That's where the bully offer comes in, right?
Exactly. Now we're buying our dog bully sticks.
Exactly. Anyway, Sarah, thank you very, very much. We appreciate you. Maestro?
On your mark. Get set. Now ready. Go. Everybody rattle, dazzle.
As if sub sandwich submissions from Sarah. That's a lot of S's,
yes,
dude.
It is.
As if that weren't enough, Kismet. How about this? It's our friend Eric Miles. Eric is in Brooklyn, New York, generally speaking, but is checking in from the road saying, like Andrew, I'm a huge fan of the Scott Aukerman podcast universe, Comedy Bang Bang. Scott hasn't seen it. The rest. I'm currently road tripping around Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, following the Comedy Bang Bang summer tour for a week or so. It's been a blast.
That is incredible.
Andrew,
that is how we started the show.
That's insane.
Wait, hold on. Did we get on this because we got on the whole Oz thing because of the mentalist thing? Is there something? Did I lead any of the conversations to these topics today? No, right?
No.
Because you brought up the Paul F. Tompkins thing.
No, it started with echo cancellation.
That's right. Yeah.
It started with echo cancellation and a conversation around the audio quality of podcasts, and then because we were talking about podcasts, I mentioned, and I think you maybe mentioned Comedy Bang Bang. And then I said, oh, yeah, they're coming to Portland. I'm going. That launched that whole conversation.
Because they don't do video. That was why that came up.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, yeah,
so this was organic.
Oh, wow.
And here is Eric basically going straight up Grateful Dead on it, going deadhead, except for Comedy Bang Bang. I was wondering, Andrew, do you have any favorite Comedy Bang Bang characters and or performers? For me, there are too many to name, but a highlight of this trip was getting to see Jess McKenna as Park Ranger Marjorie Kershaw a couple of nights ago. Anyway, I've always wondered about Andrew's faves, so I thought I'd take an opportunity to ask. Love the show. Can't wait for the 10,000th episode. Well, Eric.
Wow, 10,000. Wow.
Let's. It's like 10,000 shows when all you need is a knife. Andrew, all favorite right. Comedy Bang Bang
I wish
character.
I'd read ahead because now I feel... So, like, these are... Scott will have usually one guest on the show who, like, just... He interviews as themselves, and then the rest of the show is filled out with his comedian friends coming on the show and playing various characters. And now I am on the spot here, and I'm racing to the Comedy Bang Bang Wikipedia. Dalton Wilcox rises to the top of the list. He's the cowboy poet.
So Dalton Wilcox is the name of the cowboy poet, or is it an actor?
Yes, he's an Andy Daly character. And Andy Daly when Andy Daly's on, he will play like literally sometimes up to 10 characters all in one in one sitting, and he bounces off himself. He takes it to another level. But Dalton Wilcox, let's see if I can do this off the top of my head. I know I can do it when I'm not feeling microphone pressure. But Dalton Wilcox is a parody, although they never say it specifically, of who was the NPR cowboy poet,
Baxter Black.
Baxter Black. And Dalton Wilcox's book is "You Must Buy Your Wife at least as much jewelry as you buy your horse, and other observations from a life lived on the range, true and otherwise, by Dalton Wilcox." And I think the by Dalton Wilcox is also part of the... I came very, very close on there. I think I met observations true and otherwise. I think I messed that up a little bit. Now, I need your help with my favorite character. I need your help getting me to it. And this is going to drive you and everybody crazy as I have to reverse engineer it. Especially Eric. So the way I can get here is by thinking of the TV show Righteous Gemstones. Okay, who is the actor, the actress, the female actor in Righteous Gemstones?
Edie.
Yes.
Edie Patterson?
Edie Patterson, I think. Good. Luke? You are good. Now, Edie Patterson on Comedy Bang Bang plays who? She plays probably several characters, but my favorite is Bean Dip. She plays a character called Bean Dip. Now, is there any...
Okay, what's Bean Dip's vibe?
I think she might be a manager of some W hotels, but she's completely unhinged and talks in where she slurs in a southern accent, but has a slur, kind of a not slur, but when you slur your words, but it's literally like she slurs her words, sort of. And I'm trying to see if they have any like kind of clips of Bean Dip, and there's no way, even if I find this, there is no way it will translate into anything that seems funny to you. Here's a Bean Dip and Randy Snuts. So Randy's another favorite of mine. I believe Randy is played by her real life husband. Maybe. No, not, I don't know. Let's just hit play on this. Let's see what it is.
Well, out of Divine's trying to act like, oh, everything's cool. I go to the W sometimes. When he comes there, we keep the lights low and we kiss.
You guys have kissed before?
We've only kissed the one time.
It's not a big deal.
It's not a regular thing that we do that.
It was just one time?
Just the one.
One time?
If it's two, that's a regular thing.
The thing about Bean is the sexuality that she possesses is
off the charts.
It's off the charts.
Through the roof.
Yeah.
To the moon and back.
It's to the moon and back.
And was this part of Bean? I remember one of your kind of side gigs that you had was you were kissing people for money.
That's right.
For money. And
yeah.
I paid her thousands of dollars.
Yeah, he paid me thousands of dollars. We had an appointment. I gave.
You know who that sounds like? That's
Adam DeMam.
That's Adam DeMam. That is not Randy Snuts. Randy
From Workaholics.
Snuts,
and also Righteous Gemstones.
Righteous Gemstones. So I don't know why. That's not Randy. I don't know why this is mislabeled. But anyway, I would say that Bean Dip is one of my favorite. I'm glad that you think that's funny, just a random clip like that. But that is just the energy. And honestly, it's one of those shows that I wait for it to come out on Sunday. Sometimes I'll like re-listen to an old episode while I wait for that to come out. Yesterday was the perfect example of it. I was puttering around cooking dinner for me and Vives and just like waiting for Comedy Bang Bang to come out so I could clean the kitchen listening to it and just vibe.
I might. I mean, that was really enjoyable for me. I might have to start giving some of these a listen. What do you think about J.W. Stillwater?
Is that another Andy Daly one? See, this is
that
where
one
I'm
looks
going
like a Paul. That looks like a Paul F. Tompkins. What about Bob Duca?
Oh, Bob Duca's he claims to be Scott Aukerman's former stepdad, but his mom was only married to him for like a week or something like that. But he considers himself like a real parental figure, a real father figure to Scott. And he just lists things. I think he might have just been on yesterday's show, in fact.
It's funny because I'm just looking at a list of these characters, and I don't know any of them, but then it's funny because some of them are obviously based on real people.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are just obviously totally made up, but some of them are like, there's somebody called Bill Cosby Bukowski.
I know that seems like something that I would remember. Who plays Bill Cosby?
Let's see. It's a John Daly character.
Oh, really?
The character appeared on both the podcast and the TV show. He's a Jello laureate and one of his most popular Jelloums. Oh my gosh.
Oh, this vaguely rings a bell from the TV show.
Oh, this was before Bill Cosby. Oh, this is funny.
That makes sense.
Daly retired the character when it became publicly known that the real life Bill Cosby was accused of SA, as they say. So clearly this was the kind of thing that was sort of a quasi-funny joke until it became too real. Bukowski, though, as the hyphenated name, is pretty amazing. Some of these names are just like, let's see, whatever. I could be reading these for hours, but I should give that a listen. I really like that. I am a fan. Okay, Eric. I hope that was fun for you to get to hear some of Andrew's favorite characters, and we assume that you will be following TBTL on the road when we do the 5,000th episode and the 10,000th episode. The good news for you is we stage these things about 15 to 20 years apart. So unlike Comedy Bang Bang,
you got to stay on the road. You got to stay on the road between 5,000 and 10,000.
That's right.
If not, you're not a real fan. What are you even doing?
No, actually, you're right. That's a really good point.
Hello and welcome to Top Story.
I know are we in the Badlands yet?
Oh, I don't know. This is just whizzed by, to be honest with you. Oh my God, yeah, over an hour already. Yeah.
El Robo.
Do you think
El Robo?
I was thinking, I don't know why. Oh, I know, because I was playing with Lucy and her rope toy the other day, and I called her La Ropa. And I was wondering, do you think there's a La Ropa? Or do you think that anybody ever flirts with El Ropo and says, is there a La Ropa?
Is there a Mrs. El Ropo?
Is there a Senora La Ropa?
I hope that happens for him.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like he could really,
what he wants. Yeah.
He could really use that. I was looking through the New York Times today, as I often do, and The Athletic. Now, I guess technically this is less on the New York Times and more on Simone Biles. And I like Simone Biles. She seems like a force for good in the world.
I love the idea. Finally, Luke Burr, this is your Subway take. You're taking down Simone Biles, one of the most beloved athletes.
I kind of misread this headline, and I thought that the New York Times used this in the headline. It was their statement, but they're essentially quoting Simone Biles. And like, again, I don't want to be harsh on Simone Biles because, again, she seems like a lovely person. But I guess she had a health scare, and the headline in the New York Times was Simone Biles reveals recent health scare, almost dying, wasn't on my bingo card. And this has been something, this whole, the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl, that wasn't on my bingo card. The, fill in the blank, the whatever, that wasn't on my bingo card. I feel like maybe 2 years ago, a year ago, when did that rise to prominence as a way that we were describing things that were surprising?
I don't know. And I've definitely heard it before, but it hasn't been on my radar to the degree that it's an irritant for me, which is why, actually, when I saw this on the show sheet today, I was actually a little surprised by your take on it, but now I understand a little bit more. You thought the New York Times was just sort of freelancing that around and writing in a breezy way, and I understand why that would be irritating. Simone Biles using some popular slang doesn't really bug me so much, but I know what it's like when you hear something over and over. I'm just not at that level with this particular phrase right now, but in fact, I wasn't sure if it meant not. I almost was reading it at first like "not today, Satan." I'm like, no, that's not. Like she was saying, no, that's not on my bingo card. But in the same way, I might be like, digging a prophylactic out of my dog's mouth wasn't exactly on my bingo card on a Wednesday morning.
That would be how you would use that.
Yeah,
that would be how you would use it in the popular culture.
Yeah.
Tearing a condom away from Lucy. I didn't have that on my bingo card for this week. The problem that I have with it is that is not how bingo cards work. It is so far from how bingo cards operate. Bingo cards are a series of numbers and letters. Like, They are not. I've even done an entire television story on bingo, Andrew. So I feel like I'm fairly read in on the topic.
The wrong bingo, if you ask me.
There's never, as far as I understand, there's never been a bingo card that could potentially list pull a condom from your dog's mouth, and then it could potentially list health scare. It could potentially list all these things, and you'd be like, I had a bingo card, but it didn't have those things on it. It's so weird to me that this got developed as the way of describing an unexpected event, because it is so far away from how bingo works. And everybody's seen a bingo card at this point, and we're going with it. I didn't have it on my bingo card. It would never be on your bingo card.
I wonder if, and I'm sort of just remembering it now, and it's a very fond memory, and I'm wondering if this is part of it. When I was a kid, we had a game that was an actual, like an actual kind of store-bought, like, kind of game, and it was car bingo. I remember it so well now that you mention it, and it was these little cards, and it was to keep kids occupied during road trips. And so it would have a bunch of things listed on it of things you might see out the window, and the cards were different. And then there were these little red, like, kind of plastic panes of plastic that you would slide across to keep the card, like, reusable. You could just open or close the little red window, and that's how you would cross it off. And it might be like a dog whose head is sticking out of a pickup truck. Oh, that's on my bingo card, and then you would slide it. Oh. It was something called car bingo. Now, I don't have a Doug on this flight, as we like to say.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Shout out to Wes.
I was just going to say that should earn me some dog treats from Wes, I think. And by the way, you can use that one, Peter.
He's now training you.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a little clicker.
You now have to say nice things about animals, so Wes will send you stuff.
When I say Doug on a flight, he clicks a little thing and gives me some peanut butter dog treats. But anyway, I mean, I wonder if that's part of it. I don't know. I'm not trying to, like, be argumentative.
I'm happy. Listen, I'm happy to be wrong about this, because then I will just be less annoyed by it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm okay with there being a real explanation for it. I guess you're right. I guess if we're thinking about maybe a very expansive view of bingo, or the games where it's like, find this and then you get a bingo. In other words, like you said, a dog sticking their head out the window of a car or whatever. Maybe that was the origin of it. It's just funny because, and again, maybe this occurred to me when I was just spending so much time looking at bingo cards. It's just like, did someone at some point, like, I didn't have that on my bingo card? I mean, I guess maybe you're right. Maybe if people are playing versions of bingo where it's like you just have to see something and then you get credit for it and then that's part of your bingo, then that would kind of work with the expression. I guess I'm just surprised that it took off as much as it did, when to me it feels like it really doesn't connect with how bingo cards actually look or operate,
and the fact that it's kind of a randomized thing. I'm just. Do you want to guess what I'm doing right now? I think you would know. I'm now.
I have a sense.
Desperately looking for the ones that I grew up with.
Game
and I did find. So I found this vintage set of 3 on the road auto action bingo cards by Superior, 1986, and it looks just like the one that sort of like the windows look just like I remember them. But the problem with this one is all of the things are other types of cars. And I know I didn't have this one because one of my biggest flaws, I don't have many.
No.
I don't have many. I mean, I guess repeating myself is one of my flaws. Another one is I am car blind. And this one that I'm looking at is just like Buick, Datsun, Pontiac, Mercedes, Dodge, AMC. This also sort of dates where we are. Let's see here. Are there any other antiquated cars on here? Anyway, Volkswagen, Lincoln. And so when you saw those as a kid, I guess you could like say, hey, I got bingo because I saw all those cars. But I don't think that was the one we had because I wouldn't know a Dodge from a Datsun.
Can I ask you a real question? And this is going to, I really, really, really do not intend this to sound judgmental or critical in any way. I'm being very, very serious when I say that.
Well,
but like
very relaxed.
Sometimes I don't. Nothing relaxes you like that setup, right? No, but you talk about being kind of car blind, or kind of maybe like celebrities you don't track a lot, or maybe like face blind. Is there something that you do sort of track like pretty closely, whether it's something with baseball or whether it's something with art or music or Lucy, or I don't know, is there a thing that
voices?
Voices. Okay, we're getting down to it. So
I think that I have an almost preternatural. I might have found this auto bingo, although this looks like it's from 2014. I was not a. I stopped playing this in like 2012.
Exactly.
I feel like now.
I see. So audio and voices, you really track those.
Like
okay,
you recognize. See, this actually just happened kind of a moment ago. I was ready for Randy Snutz's voice on that thing. I was like, that's not Randy.
funny,
And then I recognized it. I'm like, oh, that's Adam is it DeVamp? DeMamp. And I recognize the voice. But my problem is because I have a problem like remembering celebrities' names and stuff. Like I could picture him. I knew he was also in Righteous. I'm like, oh, this is her colleague or co-actor from Righteous Gemstones. But I couldn't think of the name. So it falters there. But generally speaking, I can hear a name. And sometimes I will do this on, serendipity again. I played a game with Genevieve on After These Messages recently because I did not realize that Andy Richter was the voice of Subway commercials. Have you heard these little 15-seconders? You never see them. They're really short commercials, but I'm like, I know that sunshiny voice. That's Andy Richter. And then I looked it up and I was right. And sometimes I will sort of quiz Genevieve on that. And so I do feel like I have a pretty good... That's my thing. I feel like I have a pretty good ability to recognize voices.
That would make sense. And I mean, as an audio guy all these years and stuff, I could see that. But then you're saying then the challenge is you can identify the voice, but if it's a celebrity, then that last connection between knowing who the voice is and putting it to the face, that's where it can be challenging.
Yeah, like to get to Bean Dip, I had to ask about the Righteous Gemstones and work backwards from there. That's where you end up getting kind of frustrated.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you do have a superpower. It's that you're aurally inclined. Okay. Speaking of I don't know, celebrity voices.
All of that is to say,
Jack. What's the other one I say? By the way, and by the way, Andrew.
Yep. By the way.
All that is to say, Jack and Sharon Osbourne are pushing back on the haters who have criticized them for feeding Ozzy Osbourne's digital DNA, whatever that means.
I was going to ask.
That's as much as the story explains it. What I know is that this was announced at some Vegas trade show, which is the mark of quality for anything. It was announced. This was like a while ago. They announced that Ozzy Osbourne was going to be digitally recreated through AI. Jack Osbourne is very quick to say it's a closed system. This digital Ozzy will not be able to achieve escape velocity. It's not going to be on the internet. It's going to be a special AI digital Ozzy Osbourne that can make music and do things and do all of that great stuff that Ozzy Osbourne used to do, even though he has moved into the great beyond. And I guess people were giving them crap about this, calling it a money grab. They were very mad about this in their podcast, where they said it was not a money grab at all. This is my second Subway hot take of the day is, and I say this really with peace and love, but I don't know if we needed more Ozzy Osbourne when he was alive. Like, Ozzy Osbourne seems like a cool enough dude, and, you know, it was kind of fun for everybody that he had the reality show and that he would yell Sharon into the big mansion and then she wouldn't hear him. That was fun for all of us. But, like, are we really, do we need more Ozzy Osbourne content? Do we need more music from him? Now, we might have some huge Ozzy Osbourne fans out there, and if that's the case, great. I don't want to yuck any yums, but like, I'm just wondering what the demand is for an AI Ozzy Osbourne in 2026.
I have a question for you. Is Jack one of his sons? Is Jack a son?
Jack is one of his sons.
Okay, yeah, because I actually didn't watch that show, so I actually all of those references and everything. Like who is the daughter? There's whatever.
Let's see. There's Sharon is the wife. Jack is the son, and Phooey. I can't believe I'm spacing on her name. Let's see.
I'm looking it up too. But anyway, I feel like she sort of escaped.
Funnily enough, Kelly Osbourne. Yeah. Thank you. Funnily enough, there's another Osbourne kid who was in the house the whole time and just did not want to be on the television show, which, by the way, respect.
Yeah, sure,
That's absolutely your choice.
And good on the family for not forcing the issue.
Yes, totally. But there was there was a secret Osbourne in the house the whole time, just not being filmed.
Yeah. So anyway, I didn't really follow that stuff. I don't have an answer to your question about do we need more. I mean, I would say even because I don't even want to make it about him. Like, is there anybody who passes away that you're like, oh, I mean, maybe you're thinking somebody who you would understand the drive more.
25.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
If there were somebody who we were like, we just didn't have enough time with this person and their creativity.
Sure.
And wouldn't it have been? In fact, it was interesting. I was doing this interview on Livewire the other night that hasn't aired yet, but it was with this writer Jeff Chang, and he wrote this biography of Bruce Lee. And Bruce Lee was like 32 when he died. He was very young, and he was just really kind of like coming into his fullness as an actor and a performer. And this guy Jeff Chang was saying, sometimes I start to think about like all the stuff that Bruce Lee might have done in his life, particularly as an Asian American icon and things like that. And he goes, and then it just gets really depressing for me because I didn't get to see that. And then of course there's the added element that his son, Brandon Lee, also died very tragically on a film set. He was becoming this big kind of film star and was carrying on his dad's legacy in a lot of ways, and then had this awful tragedy befall him. So I guess if there was somebody who we just like, man, we just didn't get to hear enough from that person, I could kind of see it, although it raises the question, is it still them?
Yeah, I mean, you still wouldn't. I mean, people like you and I, like I'm thinking of like your favorite Mac Miller, right? Like that's somebody who was just like taken like.
I don't think I would probably listen to a Mac Miller record. You mean
like of course that's the thing, but like that might be an example of somebody who are like, boy, that there is just like so much more to hear.
Yes.
I mean, even Kurt Cobain or back in the day or whatever. But you and I would no matter what, we would never be like, well, I guess we'll settle with an AI version of this person because that's just antithetical to everything that we like about music and life, I think.
And I also think, I guess just, I haven't had this experience because of how my life has gone or whatever, but I wonder what it must be like to be, and someone's going to email me and be like, well, what you don't realize is Jack Osbourne is also does this or that, and maybe he has a rich professional life outside of being Ozzy Osbourne's son. Like, I honestly think that the Osbourne kids they're pretty smart and interesting kids, and I'm not trying to paint them as like hangers on, but it must be weird to have your life so defined by somebody else's life, like whether it's your parents' life or whatever. And again, if my dad had been, some very famous rock person, I don't know what that would be like for me. You think about like Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson have a kid named Chet Hanks, and this guy is really Chet Hayes. I think he's back to Chet Hanks now. I think he's doing country western music these days.
And also, I heard that he was on a TV show playing a character very, very much like himself. That was really good. You saw that too.
I didn't see the clips, but I heard that he's really good on. I'm forgetting the name of the show, but like. So it's easy for me as somebody who was in no danger of being overshadowed by my famous parents or famous sibling or whatever to think, well, I would be different. But it just must be a weird thing to have, like, to be constantly defined by your orientation around the idea of your dad and the music of your dad, and then the death of your dad, and now the digital DNA of your dad. It's just like it's a full-time job just being related to the idea of Ozzy Osbourne.
And also, I almost hesitate to say this because it's so goddamn cliche, but like, also to have grown up in that scenario, like not only were you a child growing up in front of America's eyes, under, I guess, the world's eyes. That was an American show, but they're a British family. Am I right about that?
Yes, they were living in L.A.
But to grow up, literally, for anybody, even if you were an adult, like the parents were, to like kind of invite that kind of, I don't know, not really scrutiny because they were in charge of it, but to invite those cameras into their home, but then to be the children in that scenario. And also, not that it would be super easy in 2026, but like that was wasn't the Osbournes? It was called the Osbournes, right? Like, that was like a defining show for what we think of as reality TV now, right?
Absolutely. And you know what's really funny is it kind of comes full circle, because I was telling you earlier today, like, I'm kind of digging the clips of whatever this show is that's Little Dicky and Benny Blanco and Little Dicky's girlfriend. And all it really is the Osbournes, except they have a guest on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, and I think what I find comforting about it is it looks like a reality show. Again, a well-shot one where the cameras are kind of in the background and they're just observing people in their living room, just living their life and having conversations, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's full, you're right. It really was this kind of seminal thing of like, oh yeah, you know, we'll just be a fly on the wall and film these celebrities who we know, or this celebrity, Ozzy Osbourne, who we know from this one context of like biting the heads off of bats. And we'll just see the mundane, everyday life things. And it turns out people really like watching that.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, well, that wasn't on my bingo card, getting to both of our top stories today, Andrew, but we did it. I got to go to Subway. Between now and our TBTB meeting, I might have to make a quick Subway.
I was honestly just thinking, like, is today the day I drive all the way out to Linwood or Woodinville? Not Woodinville.
Oh, are you going to do? You're talking Tubbs.
Well, I had that notion for a second, but actually probably not, because those are really. First of all, it's been a long, long time since I've had one. And I just worry that I feel like if I were to get a Tubbs sandwich right now on this Monday, that's going to send productivity straight
plummeting
down. Exactly. So I think I might need to do something that makes a little bit more sense for me.
All right. Well, that makes one of us. I'm beelining it for a Subway, and I'll be just eating. I'm going to tantalize you during our TBTB meeting. I'm going to eat it like in a cartoon.
Well, now I am sort of thinking, what would be the closest Subway to me now?
Gotta have one not that far.
I mean, come on.
I mean, the one that you used to go to is no longer there, which is probably better for everybody.
A steaming hole in the ground.
That place was rough. Man.
I might just go to McStabby's. Get myself some rusted nails.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with us. We're going to be back here tomorrow with more Imaginary Radio for all of you. So swing on by for that. In the meantime, have a great Monday. Take care of yourself. Stay dry if you're out here where I am and it's raining like crazy. And please remember, no mountain too tall.
And good luck to all.
Power out.